Winston Churchill said the destiny of man is not measured by material computations. When great forces are on the move in the world, we learn we're spirits, not animals. And he said there's something going on in time and space and beyond time and space, which, whether we like it or not, spells duty. You and I have a rendezvous with
the professor.
Wrestling.
Hi, I'm Dave, one half of the Professors of Wrestling, and today I am sitting down with none other than Jay Too Strong in our series. And one thing that we always say here at the Professors of Wrestling, comment, share, subscribe, like. We want this to be a community. We can't do it without a community, and particularly in these times, we need to come together as a community as we talk about South Georgia, North Florida, and a little even beyond that. But today, I'm sitting with Jay Too Strong. Thanks for taking time and sitting with us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited in these slew of interviews in light of everything that's been going on. This is the one thing that we get to do and still be embedded in the wrestling. So one question we always start out with, and we always find interesting, is what got you into wrestling? You were talking about wrestling promos, or you and I are off camera earlier, but what got you into wrestling?
I feel like I got in wrestling in a weird way because I came into wrestling through video games because I'm such a video game nerd. I want to say it was like Here Comes the Pain, seeing these bigger-than-life wrestlers and people with my little cousins. Like, yeah, these are real people. You know, yeah, there's such things as a Brock Lesnar. There's a Big Show. There's all these people. I'm like, you're not. You can't fool me. I'm too big up here.
Right.
And then he showed me once it was a SmackDown. And I was like, oh, they're real. Oh. And from there, I just fell in love with it even more.
What got you into where you did your training? Where did you do your training at?
I actually started training at 14 here in Valdosta under Tommy Dane at EPW.
Okay. And that was Extreme?
Extreme Professional Wrestling.
Yes, okay.
But started there at 14. I stayed there until 15, 16. They ended up shutting down. And then at 18, we figured out that Spinebuster was opened up an academy. So I was like, well, I was already in 2 years. Might as well find my way back into the business. And from there, I've been with Spinebuster for 4 or 5 years going on now.
When you got into it, as you were a fan, I'm going to take it.
Yes.
From the fans' perspective, what do you think fans don't get when it comes to wrestling?
The biggest one, and a lot of fans are going to hate to hear this, we're people. That's probably the thing that a lot of fans kind of forget, is that we are, we're just like you.
Flesh and blood.
Exactly. Like, we understand that you can get into the moment of wrestling, like, oh, you can get caught up.
Right.
But you just understand that we are still like you, flesh and blood, and we are people.
What aspect of that is it talking about, like, you getting hurt, maybe some of the comments hurled at you and things like that?
Yes.
Okay. So sometimes they go a little bit too far.
Yeah.
So what do you think that bright line is?
I feel like the right line of it is, I'm not trying to take you away from enjoying the show.
Right.
But there's just some lines you don't cross. Like, one of the big no-nos is don't jump the barricade.
Right.
You'll be surprised how many times I have seen that.
Oh, I've seen that too, even here in Valdosta. I'm like, what's that guy? But I think they get into the moment so much
that they want
like the storyline, or let's say it's a heel, and they're going back and forth and giving each other problems or guff or whatever you want to say. And that one person, that heel just says the right thing.
Exactly.
And just strikes a note, and it's just like, oh, I think the fan doesn't really. It's like, one, that's a character that they're playing, and they're good at it. I started this, and they just got me, and now I'm upset because I just got embarrassed by now I got to prove my my machismo or my manhood or whatever.
Exactly.
So.
Which, again, personally, I love it when that happens. But just have that situation of not trying to get in there with the wrestlers.
But if that happens, and I'm not endorsing it by a stretch of the means, I mean, you're really doing your job correctly.
Yes.
So
it's like, it's a weird thing. It's like, we don't want it to happen. When it does happen, a little bit of part of it is like, yeah, I did that.
So
I did.
back in the locker room, hello, some high five. Having been in this for a while, and I didn't realize you were with Tommy Dane in the EPW. I didn't even know he had one. But I remember seeing probably 4 or 5 years ago when he was doing it like at that karate dojo.
Yes.
On the south side of town, and when it was.
I actually tried to get into that one, but by the time I saved enough money to get in there, they ended up closing that one down too. So I was like, I felt that was like the most heartbreak. I was like, oh no, that was my only chance to get back into the wrestling business.
What are some of your favorite matches? I know Doran and I have seen you with your comeback match after your injury. That was like it was an extreme match, just the only way I know how to describe it. But what are some of your favorite type of matches when it comes to whatever promotion you're in or working for?
Now, I haven't had this match yet, but like I say, if I had my favorite one, is going to be a last man standing match. That is personally one of my favorite matches. I haven't had one yet, but when I do, it's going to be great. Promoters, just saying, hook a boy up. But my favorite match I've been in, honestly, had to be any type of Rumble. Any type of Rumble. It's a fun match because I've had, I guess, a lucky streak of finding creative ways of not getting eliminated.
Right.
So for me, it's like, okay, well, if I try to get eliminated, maybe I can try to do this thing not to get eliminated, or do X, Y, and Z, such as had the whole crowd get their chairs to make me a little bridge back to the ring.
So what's like why do you think some fans, like I think Rumbles are something people either really enjoy or really hate? So why do you think some people really hate it?
I can understand why people hate them just because they are done so much for and sometimes they're done for no reason other than just to have a Rumble on the card.
You've got a lot of talent in the back, and
yes.
you want to give them some time on there. I think sometimes as a fan watching that, you don't know where to focus, particularly once everybody gets their entrance in. They get their spots in, and they get their music played and all that, and then you're getting let's say you get 10, 15, 20 people in that ring.
Then it's hard to focus.
There's a lot of information going on there, and you miss out on a lot. So I think that's maybe sometimes I get frustrated with the Rumble.
Yes, because again, it does get hard to okay, you maybe want to watch one guy, but then there's 20 other guys, and then you hear a big pop, like, what was that? And then you're like, you just kind of miss a lot of things.
Do you think sometimes promotions, and I'm not trying to get you into hot water in here, but this is something Doran and I have talked about. It's how many too many gimmick matches or theme matches can you have before it becomes almost a bit too or fans next time they come, they're going to expect a ladder match, they're going to expect a Rumble, they're going to expect an extreme match. I mean, what is it's always trying to find that, because obviously you want to entertain the fans, but sometimes you're going to, well, how do I one-up myself, particularly as a promotion or as a wrestler?
Ooh, actually, I'm going to use Spymaster as an example since I love them. Love you all. But, we have our Gladiator title. Hardcore, so we can guarantee every show you're going to have at least one hardcore match. Some fans be like, okay. So it's like they come to the show, it's like, okay, I'm going to be guaranteed one Extreme Rules match.
Right.
So for me personally, I feel like that's the best. One gimmick match. If you can hold off on it every other show, that's even better. But then I've had a lot of shows where it's a lot of gimmick matches and the crowd just love it. So it really depends on the crowd more than anything. Because it's like that weird saying is hey, if everyone's different, no one really is different.
Do you think that's just a bit of maybe I'm holding on to an old school mentality, is you kind of want it to be a treat. If you get that treat all the time, then it's not so special. And I kind of and this is just my personal, I like the build up to the storyline to why then it's going to be a chain match, a four corner, or I love a lumberjack match, or anything like that. That is there's got to be a reason for it. Is that just old?
Oh no, I agree with that.
Mentality?
I agree with you with that, because it's weird walking into a show and then you just see that, okay, you and this guy you've never met before are in a let's just say a strap match or
right.
Any type of Extreme Rules match. It's I'm still going to do it and make sure the crowd loves it. But it is just a little bit weird of like, okay, well, there's nothing else but up from here.
I think it's got to be difficult too as a young talent coming into a promotion, and you want to make your mark because you want to come back and you want to build up your reputation and kind of move up the food chain too. So you unless you're a big name, you really don't have a lot of pull.
Exactly. You know, Extreme Rules matches are really just for the young talent to try. So it's like, hey guys, see what I can do, hitting hard.
Yeah. I feel so bad. You talk about the flesh and blood. It's like, oh man, they gotta get up in the morning.
Exactly.
So at this point in time in your young career, what has been your most memorable match?
I'd have to say my gauntlet match, where I end up getting injured.
Right.
Which it's both because I've wrestled for an hour straight. So personally, that's like a little like further in my cap I get to put in. It's like, hey, I wrestled for 1 straight hour. And then it's like, I wrestled for 1 straight hour. Then I got hurt. So
that's almost like an Iron Man match, as you were saying earlier. You know, was it Last Man Standing? That's almost like a variation of a Last Man Standing.
Exactly.
Match to an extent.
So I would say that's probably my most memorable. And then the Extreme Rules match between Hunter and Mako.
Which I didn't know how far it was going to go with that match. And then you can see some of the videos and images we posted up if you go to our social media on that one, where you were pulling the very thin amount of foam that they put down on the 2x4s on the framework of the thing. I mean, that was insane.
Yes. I'll tell everyone, the last thing I actually remember from that match was putting Mako through the glass. Everything else I do not remember. I have to go back and watch the match.
Is it because you got injured in it, or was it just you were so in the moment?
I was so in the moment. It's like no injuries. Like luckily I didn't. Like my biggest
I'm
fear.
thinking concussion, or you get your bell rung, or however you want to.
Oh, I got my bell rung so many times, but it wasn't because of like I remember those. Like okay, I remember at that point I got my bell rung, but mainly just because like, and I guess most performers can understand is when you have a match that is so good. We as performers don't really get enough time to go back and re-watch it because we're always thinking, okay, I got this show done. Okay, what's my next show? I got to start moving on to that one. We don't really have that much time of like, I need to re-watch that because that was really good.
You don't have a hard time watching yourself perform. I know some performers, and I know I do. It's like hard to watch yourself because you're going to see all the flaws.
Exactly, and then it's like, we see all the flaws, but the defense like, no, everything was great. So then it's like, oh, no, it's like, I did that wrong, that was bad. And then the fans, because like, that's another weird aspect of like, we as professionals, we know what's wrong.
You know how the sausage is made or what you're supposed to do.
Exactly. So then fans don't see it, I'm like, okay, oh, that's cool. Hey, I did that better, I did that. But the fans just see, good, I love it.
We were talking about that Extreme Rules with Hunter. You missed a good portion of 2019.
Yes.
Due to being injured in your Iron Man match. What did you, we talked to you a little bit when we were doing a pre-live show, and then you came back, I think like a week later on that. But what did you learn while you were sidelined with that injury? Or did you take time to do anything, or were you just trying to recover, or what?
Actually, I did do a lot more just watching wrestling as a fan. And then I guess one of the main things is that entertain a crowd. That's like, and it's such a basic thing that, like, anytime you tell a wrestler, and it's like, yeah, work the crowd, we all know that. But when you really watch it, it's like, yeah, work the crowd. Listen to them. Because at the end of the day, they paid for this. Right. We are trying to entertain them. They put their hard-earned money to come to watch us. So like that's one of the main things that I like watch back. I was like, wow, okay, yeah, they need to work on the crowd. Yeah, because as a crowd member, you want to be a part of it. You want that, like, you want to see the good guy come over and like, yeah, come on guys, give me the energy. You want to see the bad guy, you want to hate the bad guy. So that's
So what things are you incorporating in what you're doing now, or whenever we can all come back and see a match?
Oh, I was saying, well, I'm corporate now. I'm just. But main thing is like, yeah, just.
You said listen to the crowd more.
Let the crowd in. It's like Because I've seen in the last year a lot of matches where it's like they won't touch the crowd, and like you can see like the crowd's like they're hungry, just like, hey, just come on, just give us a little something so we can be part of this. So I
like the crowd psychology aspect of it.
Yes, because like I know now, it's like I want to say when I first returned, I did that way more than when I left. Before I used to do my, hey, come on, but now I'm like, no, it's all about them. If they're not into it, no one's having fun.
You're not doing your job as an
entertainer. Yes.
When you were injured, what did you miss most?
I think I miss traveling more than anything. Even during this pandemic, I think that's like the main thing. Me, Hanson, Proc were talking one day, and we were just like, I miss wrestling, but this I also kind of miss just being on the road, talking with your friends, telling your stories and all that, just having a good time. Because honestly, that's really what I miss.
The camaraderie, the community, the culture that's created within that.
Yes.
I think that's something we miss too. I know Dorian and I just like going to it because you see some of the same faces, whether it's the wrestlers or the fans right there, and it is a community in a lot of sense. How do you think, because of what's going on with the pandemic, how do you think wrestling's going to change? And particularly for those that haven't even got into training yet, or for small indies and small promotions like Spine Busters, or Broken Bones Wrestling, or I know there's some other promotions you do up like north near Atlanta and whatnot.
The main thing that I'm going to find fascinating is, at least from a crowd perspective, is how. Because there's going to be more spacing now. Because I feel like that's going to be one of the main things. Like, okay, we can't all put 300 seats in this area,
right.
So we're going to have to be a little bit more spaces. I'm curious on how that's going to work. As a performer, it's going to be even weird because I'm used to the, hey guys, how's it going? Big high fives,
right.
Hugging everyone, which is going to be a weird change because I know the first show is going to happen. Everyone isn't going to. Like we all want to just go like back as if it's going to be normal, but we all know this is a real thing. So like, are we all going to like as a good guy? Am I going to be able to? People going to let me like, hey, want a high five? No, yes, okay, cool.
The pictures after when you're at the merch table.
Exactly, because like there's going to be that one kid like, hey, I want a picture with J2 Strong. I want a picture with Hold My Beer Hanson. I want a picture with Proc the Croc. But then maybe the parents might like, no, we can't have a picture with them too close. So like, as a performer, that's what I'm like trying to like figure out even now. Like, how are we going to get
a life size cutout back like in the 80s when you used to like take pictures with celebrities and it was the Polaroid. Just get a life size cutout and you stand next to the cutout.
Oh, that would be so good. I can just do a.
So it's like a throwback almost. You're being retro without being retro, and being smart and practicing social distancing.
Oh, good idea. I need to put. I'm gonna write that
share
down.
that. I don't have anything on that.
Actually, I'm gonna trademark that now. That's my idea. No one else can use that idea but me.
Have you thought about anything else you're gonna have to adjust just with everything that's going on? Obviously the closeness and the high fives and the hugs and all that's got to be on hold for a while.
Yeah, other than that, everything else has just been like. Everything else seems it can be the same. Like, because no matter at the end of the day, I'm a wrestler. I'm going to have to wrestle. And it's a two-man dance, so it's not going to be like, hey, you're forced to do this. Like, hey, man, we both consenting. It's like, oh, we're going to be in close contact with each other. So you just have to trust him like he is taking care of himself during this time, and I'm taking care of myself.
You would mention video games is what got you into wrestling earlier when we started out talking about. Like, how do you think video games have impacted the wrestling community? Even at like the small the indie promotions, the mom and pops one. Obviously, we see it with AEW and that stuff. But like, how is it? You think it's impacted at the micro level, the beginning, the genesis level for people?
Honestly, I feel like anything that can get the casual people into wrestling is good. Maybe because you got wrestling movies. Maybe that might just like the Page movie. You might see that and like, okay, maybe I won't watch this. And then you see it and it's like, oh, wrestling's cool. I like it. It brings more fans in. Same thing with wrestling. Like you can bring like a 2K20, never mind, not that one. 2K19 or one of those other wrestling games. Anything that can get the casual fan more into wrestling, I am so like in love with. Just because maybe people might like football any day. It's like the same thing. It's like maybe someone might not like football. They play a football game. Also, it's like, hey, I like person A versus team B over here. Maybe I might watch the actual game. And then all of a sudden, oh, I like a game. Maybe I might want to go to an actual live event. Oh, now I'm buying merch from them. I'm buying this. And then you get more and more fans that way. I feel like that's the same way with wrestling. It's like, hey, you get a game. Oh, this is cool. Maybe I might look it up on YouTube. Hey, this is cool. Oh, there's a local indie show here. Maybe I might try to go over here now. Oh, hey, there's a wrestler. He looks cool. Maybe I might buy his merch. And then, bam, from a video game, you got yourself a new fan. And then that's even more love in a wrestling community.
Okay. What advice would you give somebody who's interested in getting into the wrestling racket?
Always listen. Ask questions. Always listen to your vets. They have been, like, I've seen a lot of people who will have this, like, because a lot of people are scared to ask questions. A lot of them are, because you don't want to be that guy of, like, I don't know what I'm doing. Because, like, we all have that situation of, like, hey, I'm the new guy, but you don't want to, like, inconvenience.
You don't want to seem needy.
Exactly. But the thing is, though, what I've learned is, like, wrestling vets want you to, succeed. They've done anything wrong that you've done, they've probably already done it 5,000 times, and they want you to be, better. They want to see the next generation not just be a downgrade, but like, okay, I messed up here. I'm gonna give someone else this knowledge so they can go up here now. So like, ask questions. Try to stay fit, and say your prayers, eat your vitamin.
So what's some of the best advice you've gotten from a veteran?
Ooh, it was from actually war. I got sweat.
Oh no, it's hot in here.
But it was actually from Animal. He told me he pulled me aside. It was at the Wild Adventure show.
Okay.
And he told me, all right, you do what you're doing right now, kid, is great. Don't stop. Whatever you're doing right now, will you ever get the crowd to do, like to make them act and have putty in your hand, keep at that. Don't stop it. And for me, that was like a huge, like, whatever I'm doing right now is doing great. So I was like, okay, thank you. Because like, when someone like you have people, because he didn't have to pull me aside like that to help me out, but anytime someone like that comes towards you, like, you're doing good, you have to listen to that.
Where do you see the future of wrestling? Where's it going right now?
I have to say, wrestling right now, it's in a weird limbo, if I'm being honest with you, because like with all these
the pandemic going on.
The pandemic, and then on top of that, the speaking out, launching all these fantastic wrestlers, it's going to be weird, but I see it going up because we are acknowledging the problems of wrestling,
right?
And then we can adapt to it and make it better.
And I think some of it you can't control a pandemic on that one, but I think it's going to be interesting to see how. Hopefully fans are hungry to see live events again, and I hope 2021 will be way better than 2020. Not only fans, but definitely wrestlers, because we have such great talent.
Exactly.
And you just feel like, they're just now starting to really
get into it,
figure out who they are in the ring, and that's the really fun, interesting part for me, is seeing young talent kind of in the discovery period where it's not. I want to say the stakes aren't low, but you're not under a big spotlight as much, and you're allowed to make mistakes. And I think that's one of the great things. And I don't mean that in a negative way, because you need to make those mistakes.
Oh yes, you have to. No one comes out the wrestling business like, no, I'm perfect. I'm already a Ric Flair. Just give me that belt now. But no, it's like, and that's another thing is that the pandemic is that you got a lot of young wrestlers who are now used to do shows a week, and you learn, like in wrestling, you learn by doing shows.
Flight time is what.
Exactly. But so now you have wrestlers, because I know I was out during most of 2019. Sorry.
No worries.
2019, I was out most of that time. So coming back into it, it was a weird adjustment time. Like, oh no, your body doesn't get Your body's like, okay, you're relaxing now. You must be done with this thing. Then coming back to it, it's like, oh no, your body's back. So now back in 2020, it's a whole nother readjustment of, oh no, I've been out for 3-4 months. Now I got to get better at it.
Kind of wind things up here. Where can people find you through your social medias and your interwebs? So.
You can find this sweaty man at Facebook at J2Strong or Instagram at the true J2Strong or the kid J2Strong. And also my MySpace, J2Strong. Love you, Tom.
Thanks a lot to J2Strong. Thanks a lot to you, the audience out there, your listeners, your followers on that. Remember, we the Professors of Wrestling, still, we want to be Taco Bell strong. It may be drive-through strong right now, but in 2021, we want to make it come back even harder with the Taco Bell strongness stuff and junk. So please, like us, subscribe to us, share us, and can't wait to see y'all whenever that is.